Yo, we got Family Ties 2 coming to you December 9th, San Francisco, neck of the woods. We got 4 of the best hip-hop groups from San Francisco coming at you, performing on one night. Grab tickets. Link is in the description. Music matters. Cheridomingo.
What up?
Yo, what's going on?
How you guys doing? Thank you for coming on.
Doing great, man. Thanks for having us, bud.
Of course,
appreciate it.
Of course, yeah, no worries. Now that I'm saying the word Cheridomingo out loud, I realize how good of a name it is to say to an intro.
Dude, that
Cheridomingo.
I appreciate that because Cheridomingo. What kind of name is that? I don't know.
What is it?
You tell us, bud.
You don't know?
Dude, like at the time when we were trying to come up with the idea, like we had a bunch of bad names, and I can't even remember them. I must have like locked it away, like deep away. These names, maybe they were that bad, and and somebody like mispronounced
Cherry tomato.
Yeah.
And we said, did you say Cheridomingo?
Yeah.
And it just rolled off the tongue so nice. I was like, that's it.
It really does roll off the tongue beautifully, though.
Yeah, I kind of
Cheridomingo.
I thought that like if somebody saw it on a flyer, they would just kind of be like, "That's a weird name," and just kind of like.
Or like, how do you even say that?
Yeah.
Sherry.
We've gotten it all kinds of different ways.
Have you ever gotten confused? Like, has somebody ever thought you were like one individual?
No.
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 Because I feel like Cheridomingo could be a name. Like, we know somebody named Cherry.
What?
Yeah.
No way. Is it spelled the same way?
No.
Oh, fuck.
She's. Or wait. I actually don't know how her name is spelled.
Do you guys allow cussing on this?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, just making sure I didn't. Just fired off a couple.
I have a hoodie that somebody gave me. A friend made it for me. Like when he came on the podcast, and the back of it says, "Can I curse?" Because he says like everybody asked that in the first 2 minutes.
Sure, you can curse.
Yeah, you can curse. Maybe write it like big on the table. You can curse.
You can say whatever the hell you want.
Yeah, literally, dude. Your tattoos are so sick. I'm like looking at them now. I wasn't like peering at him until I was sitting next to you.
Dude, so I gotta ask: is Mario like the guy in the chair?
Yes.
Is he like your eyes from above?
Yeah.
Damn, that's sick.
Mario, rapidly switch the cameras right now to confirm.
Hacking into the mainframe.
Yeah. And we're in. I feel like nobody ever understands like what he's actually doing back there, but what he's doing is see that little interface right there. It's a camera switcher, so he's like live switching everything.
Oh,
so
it's not a keyboard. He's
Well, there's a keyboard to the right of it, but the other one is a camera switcher right there.
Damn, that's sick. Dude.
So you see that little how one lights up red?
Yeah.
That's whatever camera we're on. So like when he's on 1, that's 1. He's on 2, that's 2. He's on 3, that's on 3. So that's like changing the actual perspective of the camera in live time.
Dude, that is amazing.
Yeah. I find it sick that you're so interested in like the whole podcast, Laura. Like you said, you listen to a ton of podcasts,
dude,
right?
Yeah, I love listening. I mean, yeah, we were talking earlier about like a couple that we both listen to, like Breaking Points. And
yeah, that's
like,
crazy. You listen to Breaking Points.
Yeah, dude, insane. I literally have never met anybody that listens to that.
That's wild.
But yeah, I've definitely listened to a lot of podcasts. I'm a big fan, and being able to be on one is pretty sick, dude. Thank you,
dude.
Like,
I appreciate you guys for sure.
So you guys saw us at Sour Sun.
Yeah. Mario did, and then we're really good friends with Nuffer. Shout out to Nuffer, who was also on that bill, and we were just fans like some of the other artists on that bill. And then he put one of your stuff, and I started listening through that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Israel Arcade played that show.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, they're super sick.
And they come on.
In like a week. Yeah. Hell
so
yeah.
sick, dude.
Hell yeah, dude. And then Alt Angeles threw it, and I'm like a gigantic Alt Angeles fan. Very, very like early inspiration to like all of this was Alt Angeles. I was like watching the whole blog era.
Yeah, dude. It's so crazy to think about the fact that like, dude, like they've been doing it for what, like 4 years now, 4 or 5,
No, longer, definitely longer, because they proceed Above the Bridge, and Above the Bridge is 5 years old.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so like probably like 6, or maybe like something like that. But anyway, they've been around forever.
Shout out to them. Shout out to Donna.
Yeah, Donna's so sick. Never met her, but like we're
She's awesome.
Big fan of the work.
Yeah, I mean they throw amazing shows. They were doing like their publication aspect of themselves was really cool. I mean, it's cool to see things like Alt Angeles, like Above the Bridge, things that are just like kind of tapped in with
keeping their ear to the ground always.
For sure, yeah. when you guys were like coming up, so like 2018 was like kind of when you guys begin like starting to gain some traction and just put stuff out, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Was that era like in Southern California music? Was a lot of it still in the blog era, or like how were you finding out about local bands when you were down here when you were getting started?
Dude, honestly, like when we started, I had no idea what I was doing. I still have no idea what I'm doing. And I think we just kind of were like wanting to play shows, wanting to make songs, and I don't know, like there was really no rhyme or reason to no like strategy, like idea of what we were doing. We were just kind of like playing, whatever shows we could.
Meeting bands along the way.
Yeah, exactly. Like in Simi, where we're from, there aren't a whole lot of bands to be honest. Like there isn't really a scene, so I felt like it was kind of really tricky, to be honest, to find like other bands. But honestly, thanks to things like, you guys and like Alt Angeles, especially once you guys, like Instagram was a really helpful tool around that time in terms of like finding other bands to play with and stuff. Yeah,
I do feel like that, like that. It's very interesting to me to like look at like the equivalence between like the like the LA scene around that time and then what was happening like where I'm from in the Bay Area around that time, because there were so many bands. Like me and Mario both were like a bunch of friends and just like local bands. Like we kind of came up in the same scene as, and it always felt very equivalent. Like it was kind of like almost like a mirrored world. It's like there's like the Southern California music scene and the band stuff, and then it's like there was the Bay Area one, and they kind of existed in like a similar way. And like when I moved down here, I didn't realize like you were saying before, like up here in the valley there aren't like a ton of like local spots to play and stuff. So was it
exactly
you were always going down to LA
all the time? We were playing this place called Old Town Pub like a lot, like around the like 2018. That's kind of where we first started playing, and that was like the only place I think that let us play. Because I was just emailing as many places I could. And like here in the valley, there's a couple spots. There's like the Midnight Hour, there's the Shed, but then, dude, there was like there wasn't really anywhere to play near us.
And it's interesting that you say that you were just like randomly sending out emails, because that's like such like a common link amongst like so many of the bands that I talk to and some of the artists I talk to. But it's so cool to me that people just like it's I feel like we're all in like this perpetual state of not actually knowing what we're doing, but it's like the people exactly, but it's like the people who are willing to like stick it out long enough to like actually figure it out are the ones that stick. And it's like, it's very easy to look around you and see like your contemporaries and think like, oh, they know what they're doing, what they're doing, but in reality none of us do.
Straight up do it.
It's just like I really feel like it's just like throwing shit at the wall till something sticks.
Totally 100%. I mean, like for me, I don't know, we've always just tried to like focus on the cool music, cool shows thing, just because I feel like you can kind of like drive yourself crazy if you think too hard about like what should I do, at least for me. I don't know. What do you think?
Same.
But because the thing is too, it's like you can think about it as long as you want, but it's like that's one thing I think I really realized when I started talking to so many musicians was that like there is no one way to do this.
No, dude.
Everybody's come up is different, and the way that everybody gains traction is so vastly different.
Totally, dude.
When you guys started, like, was the goal always like we want to be more of a live band? Well, I guess I should ask you before that. How did you guys like originally meet and begin playing together? Like, how'd that kind of happen?
Anthony and I are cousins.
Oh,
so we grew up together, like playing.
That's like, crazy.
And like at family parties and stuff. So we kind of always had that. And then Anthony one day hit me up, was like, "Hey, like, let's start a band." And I initially didn't want to, but he convinced me to be the bassist.
Why were you hesitant?
I just really I was just like doing other stuff. I really wasn't ever thinking of myself like being in a band, but I've always like jammed with him. We've always like, that's always been cool. But and then he had a band before that kind of like fizzled out, but some of the members came and started that, so he was just like, yo, we need a bass player.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to school at the time. I had stopped playing music for like a year, and I don't know, like being at school for music and learning about music was really sick, but I just kind of like wanted to. I don't know. It's just it's different being in a classroom, and then it's different just like actually doing it. And,
Yeah, for sure.
And not one way is better than the other. I just like really, I don't know. I was like around music all day, but I wasn't making it in a room with other people, and it just felt weird.
Yeah,
So I was just
100%.
like, okay, I'm gonna do that.
And that's the thing that's so strange about like music education to me too, especially like music industry education.
Yeah.
I don't know how that can even be taught because the industry is changing every single day, and like you could rewrite a textbook every single year, and you wouldn't be able to account for like the actual things that are being, and it's sad because, to be entirely honest with you, I feel like the kids that are going to school for like music industry and music business, they're just not being taught the things that are actually working, which is strange,
How much luck is required too?
Yeah,
like,
for
it's
sure.
Just a lot of chance with that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, especially in an environment where like it does feel like everybody's kind of just doing their best and throwing as many darts at the wall as possible. Like, yeah, like music, I've never taken any, but music industry classes seem really interesting because it's like, does that mean like if you take the class, like they're showing you the way to do it? Like, is there a way, like?
Because there isn't.
I don't know about that, Chief.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there's like not like one way to do this. There's a million ways to do this. So how do you comprehensively teach somebody that?
Right. And we were talking a little bit about how you went, right?
Yeah.
For like music. Did you feel like what you were learning was universally applicable?
No.
Okay.
Not like not at all. Like it was so strange. Like I remember having. Well, okay. Here's the thing. Like there were lessons where I felt like what I was being taught, like content wise, was for sure like universally applicable. But the thing is, it's like, I was learning things that I could have learned on YouTube in 15 minutes as easy,
right?
Or way easier.
Right.
And then it's like it just isn't anything that you can't be taught. It's like for example, like I think with like math or something, right? Or like let's say you're going to school for like microbiology. There's a certain level of that I think is gate kept by educators. To a certain point to where like it's difficult online to learn a lot of that because you have to ask questions, you have to do all these things. And the thing with like music industry stuff is it's like the challenge is not conceptual. Like you're probably not going to be asking like a ton of questions. Like in all the ones you can definitely like look up or find on the internet somewhere.
Right.
So it just felt like I was learning something that I wasn't going to be able to use, especially because like the whole time I was like, I'm starting a music media company. There was
so crazy.
Yeah, I was like at no point there's going to be somebody who's like, I'm going to enjoy what you're making more because you have a degree. Like that's not how it works. It's like really strange.
And like, good on you for starting a music a music media company in college. I feel like that's so sick. That's truly like wanting to do it,
Thank you, man.
To do it, and that's just so fucking cool.
I appreciate it. I get a strange feeling sometimes where it's like I think about the people I was around at that point and like how many of them aren't doing it anymore, and it kind of makes me like really sad in a lot of ways. Because like I don't know, I think what I want to do is just prove to people that like this is really possible and like you can do this and like there is no such thing as failure in this, and that's the coolest part about it.
Right.
It's like as long as you continue to try and continue to believe that you can make this work, you haven't failed yet.
Right.
But it's weird. Were there a lot of bands that you guys came up with when you first started that aren't doing it anymore, and how do you kind of feel about that? Does that ever make you sad?
Oh my God, yeah. And there are, and there's also the reverse. There's bands we started with that are doing really well. So, but when it comes to like bands that, we started with that aren't doing it anymore, it does bum me out because I do, like I have those memories, and the memories that I have, everybody's so excited, everybody's so pumped, but I also get that like. You change and things will always change and everything changes and I don't fault any whatever life happens but and it's hard, dude. It's like doing
hard,
this is hard
for sure.
Like and it takes longer than you think it does.
100%.
And you definitely know that.
I mean, you guys too for sure.
So we're all just kind of like doing our best, but I feel it does make me sad. What about you?
Not really.
Damn.
No, I mean, it makes me sad because there's a lot of good bands that just because you can't find the same people on the same wavelength. Like, I mean, meeting up for practice, we live in the same town. That's tough.
Yeah.
Like, So I can imagine someone doesn't live close enough, or just like so many other things, but just like all these talented bands just like lose it, you know, and then it is what it is.
On the reverse side, like, were there like other music media companies that you started with that you were kind of like looking at it like, oh, that person's doing cool shit, or that one's doing cool shit, that aren't around anymore?
Honestly, no. I feel like it's mostly the reverse. I feel
That's
like
sick.
maybe it's like I wonder why that's different. Maybe because it's like there's less people doing it, I guess.
Right.
But like, for whatever reason, no, not really. It's like almost all people that I remember like were huge influences, or I mean, there's lots of like gone on to do other things and stuff.
Right.
I remember I was watching. There's a ton of like rebranded and stuff. Like I was a big fan of this company called Metacritic back in the day.
Yeah.
And then they became what's it called, Mario? Do you know what Metacritic became? It was fucking. I'm only asking because we talked about it recently. It was what's it called? Now it's like their bio on Instagram is like the people's voice. What is
the people's
what is it?
Why did that sound really?
Yeah,
that sounded really familiar
it's
to me.
like.
Metacritic's like a movie and video game.
Yeah, but it was like an Instagram account that like. Anyway, whatever. Yeah, but anyway, so yeah, there's like them. They rebranded. I was watching this thing called Chad's House in the early days that like turned into
Chad's House.
Dude,
yeah, that is now like Unquiet Live.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, that's crazy.
So a
Yeah,
lot of them, I feel like it's been really cool to see them like morph and change into like different things. I mean, we were talking about Alt Angeles. I was a huge fan of them. It's cool to watch them. There weren't a lot of people. Like there were more people doing the stuff that I was a fan of in LA than the Bay Area for sure.
Gotcha. Is the podcast like your main squeeze? That's the thing. Like you want to elevate to the highest level possible.
It's certainly like one of them right now. I don't really have like one thing that I want to like rise above everything else. I kind of want it to grow simultaneously.
Right.
But right now we're doing like we're doing an interview and a live session every week. We're doing like an original piece of music content a week. We're doing like
that's cool.
we're doing like movie reviews with musicians right now. Yeah. So what I'm really excited about right now is the events company. Is all the shows that we're throwing. I have like an a very, very, very specific like vision for the way that I want to grow that side of things that I'm very, very excited about.
That is so sick. I love that. Where do you guys think you're gonna throw the shows mostly?
So we're trying to like bounce back and forth from like the Bay to LA right now.
Nice.
When I moved to LA, I never wanted to like be a whole thing where it was like I'm only throwing shows here now.
Right.
It's so close in the Bay Area, and I have so many friends there that want to go to shows and stuff. I know so many venues and talent buyers there that it's easier to bounce back and forth and do both. Right. But it's very exciting, I think, like to be able to do both. It's cool because I don't want to like. One thing I think is incredibly lucky about like working in music is you can do it from wherever.
Yeah.
You know, like I've just got to the place where like I'm doing like music stuff full time, which is so sick. 'Cause it's like I can like go back to the Bay Area for like 3 weeks and work from my parents' house and spend time with them. Like it's a beautiful thing.
Bring your computer.
That's exactly.
Dude, that's so sick. Like I can't wait to see footage from the shows.
Thank you, dude. Yeah, dude, you guys should come out. I'd love to have you. That'd be so fun.
I'd love to play them too.
Dude, for sure. No, we'd love to have you guys.
Yeah.
Would you guys ever consider doing like or do you guys ever like partner up with other people to do shows?
Yeah.
Like Free the Youth? Or like,
Yeah, we're planning a show with them in January right now.
Nice.
We're trying to throw a show with our friends, 29th Street Productions, if you know them. Some good homies of ours. So yeah, we're trying to do more of that for sure.
Do you have like an ideal lineup for the January show, or is it already locked in?
Yeah, it's already locked in.
I don't want to ask. Yeah,
I'll tell you later.
That's
but
sick.
it's so fun. We're doing it's in the Bay Area, and we're doing like a half. It's like a half hardcore show, half hip hop show.
Oh, that's
Whoa.
sick.
Yeah.
Best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I love that.
Yeah, those are like the kind of shows that I'm really passionate about. Like very, very like ultra curated, specific experiences. Right now, I'm working on like all these show posters. If you look at them, they're all comic book covers. So these ones right here in the frames.
Oh my bad.
It's like that guy. So they're all comic book covers that we work with the same artist for. Yeah. So we're looking to like turn them into actual comic books, and we're trying to turn all of our shows into like dual shows and comic book release events.
Dude,
that's what we're trying to.
Comics?
Yeah. So I never was like a huge comic reader, but I just love the art.
Oh my god, dude! The art's like.
I read all like the Walking Dead comics when I was a kid. Exactly, stuff like that. Yeah. But I never was like super into it. But I just love the art style.
If you ever want to get into like a comic,
dude, I have to now.
Just, like give it a shot. There's a comic called Invincible.
Yeah,
that is so good.
What's it about?
It's about this kid Mark, who is this your average teenager with a
Yeah.
job, and he like is working, and his powers like awaken at that moment. He is whatever, he's like gets his powers, finds out a lot of stuff about where he comes from, and there's actually a show on Amazon Prime about it.
Oh, cool.
Super cool. Highly recommend
Yeah.
it. Invincible. Awesome.
I just think it's such like a specific and unique like kind of
Yeah,
art that I think is
it
like
is,
a dying breed. But it's interesting. Like my whole philosophy with it is like I'm so excited and passionate to like work my way into that world, because it's like I think that like community. So this is, I'm very interested to talk to you guys about this too, because you guys, it seems like, at least from an outside perspective, very like scene oriented band. Like you guys definitely were like, when you came up, it looked like, when I was doing my stalking on you, it looked like there were like a ton of bands you were playing with often, and there's a cool like Southern California like band scene that was kind of bubbling, and that was like similar to like a lot of the music that I came up around. And I felt like during COVID that died, and
Right.
and it exists post COVID, but in a very different fashion. And that idea kind of prompted me to like attempt to curate experiences that feel like they're very community and culture driven, and like there's like the same people that can go back to these events and have like a centralized location to like feel like they're a part of something bigger.
Right.
So I really want to curate that, and I've been throwing cool shows for a while, but I really love them, and I love the turnout and the artists and everything. And it was great, but I realized like they need a through line and a link, and that I want them to feel like above the bridge shows. I want them to feel like isolated events. So I was trying to figure out what I could do that's different. And I think when I thought about like the way that scene music is kind of a dying art and a dying community, it led me to think about other things like that. And I kind of got to like thinking about comic books.
Right.
And then I started thinking about like, how can we make our shows have a through line and a link, but they're all incredibly specific, but also like connected in a way.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, what if we turned every show into a comic book? So we release a comic book with, and all the characters are the people who are playing the show. Like the bands and the artists on the bill are the actual comic book characters, and I want to give them out for free. I don't want to sell them, because the goal is like to not make the goal is to like, it's not to make money off these comic books.
That's awesome.
It's to build culture to the point where it's like these people can feel like they're a part of something.
Yeah.
And you go to all these shows, and there's like this consistent thematic presence of like getting an item, a physical.
And trying to like collect it.
Exactly. And it's like, if you have all these, you're a part of something.
Yeah.
It instantly makes you a part of this community and this culture, and it's just like there's something really convincing, I think, about like making bad business decisions. So like you're doing something that's so, like kind of like a little bit silly, like a comic book. I do think there is a level of like artfulness that is like I'm trying to not sound pretentious when I say this. I just love this idea, but it's like there's something about like a comic book or like a magazine or like a physical that is like not like a direct consumer thing like TikTok is. So it's viewed as like a bad business decision.
Right.
But things like in art that are bad business decisions are generally really, really convincing to other artists.
Right.
And I think that is like what we have like a leg up. So I'm just excited to build that rolled out.
Yeah, and I also just think like, that is a popular like opinion of like straight to stuff like TikTok, or like a physical, like a comic book. I could see, a suit like saying, bad business decision, but I just don't think that's the case. Like I think like ultimately giving somebody a great experience live is going to make them want to come back.
100%.
That means you just
100%.
gained, what. I guess in the business way, like, your customer or whatever.
Your consumer or whatever,
your consumer, like, and I think that is a way, that's a way better version of connecting with,
100%.
people that's a way better avenue of connecting with your audience.
100%. And the thing is, like, I think what's different about like that versus like a TikTok or something, it's like TikTok is not a place where you make fans or like, friends or like a community or like, it's difficult, because it's so like temporary, dopamine driven, such a quick hit that it's like you're on to the next thing in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
An event is literally everything that's the opposite of that. Is so in direct opposition to that.
Right.
Do you guys remember, like, this is an interesting question, do you have like a concert that comes to mind that you went to when you were like a kid or when you were younger that you're like, damn, like I get this now, like I want to perform, that's what I want to do?
Dude, for me, I mean, I know mine. What about yours?
I think it's gonna be the same.
Okay, you go first.
That's
then.
cool.
Well, mine was seeing Circa Survive. What year was
I
it?
was gonna
Yeah,
say
it was-
Circa.
Yeah.
Apologies for the squeaking. I'm sorry.
But yeah, Circa Survive. Like I cried like a little baby, and that was the
That's
first time
sick.
experiencing emotions at a show. And like, dude, like
Yeah.
I feel like I started making music because of Anthony Green directly, like because of that guy. So
What about him?
I listened. I remember like being, I think I was like 13, listening to the song "Baby Girl" for the first time, and I was like, "Who is this?" And I just fell in love with the tonality. And then, then he had that band Seosin, and Circa. It was like the first time being exposed to that kind of music, and I don't know, it just, yeah, it's such an inspiration. Like that's the only reason why I got into it at first.
That's so
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, I saw Circa when
Okay.
I was 14 at like the Fox Theater, I think. And yeah, just like I was already such a huge fan of Anthony Green. I'd heard his song "She Loves Me So" when I was like 12. And our cousin Kelvin showed him to me. I don't know if he showed
Yeah,
you.
no, he
but
was the one that showed me.
yeah,
too.
he showed me Anthony Green, and like, yeah, it just was like, oh, I want to do this. Like hearing Circa and seeing them live at
Yeah.
that show was like, this is the coolest thing that I could possibly do while I'm here.
That's
Like, this is
sick,
just
yeah.
the coolest thing I could possibly spend my time doing.
Yeah.
You know? I felt so much connection, and man, changed my life.
Yeah, that was definitely how I felt when I started going to shows too. It's like such a crazy pipeline
Yeah.
because it's like you go to one and you have like one of those crazy like life altering experiences and then
Yeah.
you're just hooked.
Yeah,
and you
dude.
just keep going, dude. And I remember like there was a point when I was like 18, 19 where it was like I was going to like 8 or 9 shows a month. Like I was going to so many. Yeah.
Damn, dude, that's sick.
Yeah.
Addict.
My back couldn't
So
take it
many.
anymore.
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, for sure. Do you
Was
guys?
that mostly up in the Bay?
Yeah, it was all in the
Okay.
Bay, for
Do
sure.
you remember who you were seeing?
Oh, dude,
Any band, any
so
like-
many like these artists. They're like on these bills,
awesome.
like ton of Corporal shows, but
Yeah.
a bunch of Moondrop shows. I was
That's
going
so
a lot of
sick.
like Small Crush shows, Mount
Okay.
Eddie, Ultra Q, like
Ultra. Oh, whoa, dude, sick.
Yeah.
Are any of those bands? Did any of them stop?
no,
They
not-
all those bands you like were watching at the time.
I think for the most part, yeah, they're all still
That's so
around.
sick.
We think about that. I mean, me and him talk about that a lot. Like, there's a ton of bands that like were like, around the place that we were growing up. That like, it's so cool to see like the way that they've all grown.
Right.
It feels like a lot of that scene did kind of stay intact, but like they moved on and like began to do things in LA and other places, etc. But like they're still around, which is what's really really cool.
Do you think a band can just stay?
That's such
in
a
the
hard
Bay Area
question.
And just like, live, become
Yeah.
and just stay in the Bay, or do they have to move? Do they have is it like?
Yeah, I think
Do
about
they-
this often. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think like I could have for what I was doing with the music media company,
Right.
but I think there's bands that have and will continue to, and I think it was probably easier like 5 years ago than it is now.
Yeah.
Because there's not as much of a scene. There's like a huge hardcore scene in the Bay still, but a lot of like the emo stuff, a lot of like the pop punk stuff, and the indie stuff is like, a little bit smaller, and it exists, but it's in smaller pockets that aren't getting a lot of traction, and
Right.
that's totally fine. But it's just I think it is a little bit harder now than it was 5 years ago.
Mhm.
But I think it's possible. I just think you have to
Yeah.
travel. I think
Right.
any band can make it anywhere as long as they're touring.
Yeah.
Like you can live wherever you want as
Yeah.
long as there's like a local scene there. But I think if you're not gonna live in LA or like Nashville or like New York, you do have to tour 100%.
Yeah.
It's difficult, but I think it's a way that you can kind of like break out of, or you can like remain in the same place, at least on like a living point,
Yeah. No, I agree totally. I mean, like playing outside of your town, I think is just so valuable for any band.
Yeah.
And I imagine that if you're a band that doesn't live in a place that's like poppin',
Yeah.
like it's probably really hard. Like
Yeah.
it's probably really, if you're not, I mean, we don't, obviously we live close enough to LA that it's like at least, like it's like an hour,
Yeah.
an hour 15, but like yeah, if we didn't do that, dude, we'd be fucked.
Yeah. Was that like so you guys were mostly playing shows in LA like when you were first playing shows?
Definitely, yeah. Like mostly Pasadena.
Oh,
like,
interesting.
yeah, a lot of
Okay.
Pasadena.
Was there like a big scene in Pasadena?
No, it was just like the only place that would let us play.
And you guys have toured, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When was your first tour? When did you go on your first tour?
Dude, our first tour was in I think at the end of 2021 or 2020. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking now. I think 2021, at the end of 2021 was our first tour. It was so, I mean, it was.
Who was it with?
It was with Movements and Soft Blue Shimmer.
Cool.
Yeah, it was like insane.
How did that come about? Like, how did they? Cause I mean, that's pretty crazy, dude. Be already touring after just like a couple years of doing it. Like, when you were at that point, was there any like imposter syndrome that kind of set in? Like, was it overwhelming when you were touring?
100%. I think I was extremely nervous. I was extremely, I have like social anxiety, so I was like super worried. You know, I was just like being an anxious mess.
Yeah.
The way it came about, I mean, Alex, dude.
I was just like commenting a lot, and
It's a key.
Yeah.
yeah, but and then we just got a DM from the guitar Ira, the guitar player Ira, and just like, yo, we want to play some shows. It's like, are you serious? Like,
Yeah.
Sick.
you sure?
Yeah.
We were ready. Like we were practiced so much. Like we knew we were ready for it, but just like getting on those shows was incredible. I mean, it's still like the highlight.
What was the first show you played with them?
It was in Phoenix at the
Okay.
Crescent Ballroom.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I have like some family out there too, so like they all went and like, seeing like, you know, like that was like the first show I feel like we've ever played, like a real legit
Wow.
show, you know? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it was crazy. It was so much
How
fun.
was that having your family there? Like, are they very supportive of the music thing? Are they in
yeah.
music at all?
My dad was
Uh-huh.
like growing up, so that's where like I picked up the guitar and like, you know, we grew up like watching him mess around with
Cool.
it, so it's like, you know, I just naturally picked it up. It was always
Uh-huh.
there, so yeah.
When you were playing like that room versus like some of the house shows you were playing, how did you get to a point to like where you were comfortable playing like much bigger rooms and stuff? Like, do you remember when you like actually began to felt like, you know, or began to feel like you were comfortable on stage?
Dude,
Call
I
Anthony
don't
out.
know if I'm still like comfortable. I have really, like the first 3 years of the band, I was puking on stage.
Yeah,
every
Wow.
he would run off stage and
And
like
just
go
vomit.
vomit in a
Yeah.
bucket.
Jesus.
Yeah,
It
I
was
used to
awesome.
bring a bucket on stage and put it behind Adam's amp. And at the time, he had like a 412 in a head, so like I could crouch.
It was
and,
like a big
be
amp,
hidden. And yeah, I was doing it like most shows. I was doing it. It could have been for 2 people, and I was still doing it. Like it was just like I just like was so nervous and scared, and yeah, I had so much anxiety that I just it was really hard to get over. And that show with the Crescent was. It felt like a mountain to get over. You know? It was like this tsunami of like anxiety and like fear.
But we were ready. Like,
Yeah.
most
Yeah, I
importantly,
mean,
like,
luckily
yeah.
we played.
we played
you know,
so
like-
much. Yeah.
You know, we weren't playing probably the right stuff, but we played like so much. You know, and we played. You know, so it was just like, yeah, we knew we had the chops for it.
I
It
think
was
that's
just-
what initially gave us the courage to leave the garage. You know, because us like playing it in the room and like feeling it, and then we're like, yeah, that we can play. I can play that in front of people for sure. And then just the confidence grew after every show, and just like
100%.
we were so grateful to play for like the bartender. Like,
That's
we did not
cool.
care. Just please let us play for you.
Yeah.
And that's how we initially started like getting shows. Just like, yo, please.
And I think like that level of gratefulness is like absolutely like vital and like necessary if you want to grow. And I think that's what people don't understand so often, right? It's like I've never understood when people say like, oh, like in music you have to be a dick to like be successful.
Right.
I think the opposite is like the truth 95% of the time, especially when you're playing in music. You know, you're playing the type of music that is like very often scene oriented. You know.
Yeah.
It's like so strange. And I also think that those shows obviously are the ones where you grow the most. Like,
Oh, yeah,
do you?
that
How were your nerves like after that show? Did it help? Did it change them?
I mean, it definitely like, you know, getting the reaction we got was like very armor. It gave me like some skin, you know, it gave me some
Yeah.
like it gave me some confidence. It gave me some feeling of like,
Yeah.
okay, maybe we're not crazy, you know, like, and so I think that after those shows, yeah, it like really made me feel like more calm, you know. I mean, I'm still like a pretty anxious person. My hands are like wet right now, you know, like I'm pretty, you know, I'm like a pretty.
Hey, it's hot in
person.
here. I get it. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I definitely feel better now than at the time. But I still get like really nervous.
Yeah.
Before shows.
That's very admirable, man. That, like, you're willing to like go up on stage and perform for these people, even though like it's a hard thing for you to do. That's really, really cool.
Dude, I'm just like, the fact that anybody would watch us like is so, I'm just like, that's the coolest thing in the world. Like,
Yeah.
the fact that I'm here right now is the coolest fucking thing in the world. The fact that I'm
Yeah.
here because you guys liked something of ours that you
Yeah.
heard, like, that's insane to me. Like,
Yeah.
that's so crazy, you know. And like,
But it takes such a like a self-aware person and like a kind person, I think, to like take a step back and realize that, because so many people don't. Like, so many people like fail to acknowledge the fact that like it is like what we all do is like so lucky and like amazing, and like
Yeah.
like I think about all the time, like, dude, like the percentage of like creatives that get to do this like as their job is like already like 0.1%.
yeah. Oh,
So
dude,
it's
man.
like, dude, we're like some of the luckiest people alive, you
Yeah.
know? But it's like, I think the second you stop being grateful for that and like forget that like other people are the reason you're here is like
Yeah.
when you lose all of it, you know?
Dude, straight up. And I mean, like, it's hard not to, you know, get into like certain thought patterns of like, you know, like, I'm not, you know, I want to be like, you know, you see another band and you're like, dude, like, damn, you know, they, like you were saying earlier, they know what they're doing. You
Yeah.
know? But like, yeah, like remembering that we have no idea what we're doing.
Yeah.
And that we're just lucky to kind of like have anybody like our music or come to the shows. It really is, dude, it's a healing potion,
100%.
you know?
Yeah. And it's like the great equalizer is what I think concerts are. Like, it's so cool. Like, I think when bands like break down that wall and like they're willing to say, like, I'm nervous as hell right now, or like, you know, like, I'm feeling this, or like, this thing happened to me today. Like, that to me is the coolest shit ever. And that's like, those are some of the most memorable shows for me ever. I went to this show. I saw Tommy Richmond a couple weeks ago. Shout out to him. He's super sick. But there was this really cool moment, like, at the end of it, because he's like from Virginia and recently has like gained like a ton of traction. Really cool to see. But like, I saw him at El State a couple weeks ago, and there was this moment at the end of the show where he just like walked up to like the front of the crowd and just started like give everybody high fives, like dapping everybody up, and just like individually looking at everybody and saying like, thank you, thank you. And I was like, that is so
nice.
cool. I was like, those are the people who like you look at and you're like, they will be successful forever. Because at the end of the day, all this shit is like just getting people to care. And people are way more inclined, way more likely to care if they think you're a good person.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And you are a good person, you know?
Dude, thank you. I appreciate you.
Of
man.
course,
Thank
of
you.
course, dude.
Yeah, I mean, we're lucky. We're just lucky.
Yeah.
You know, like, you know, like just to play shows and like make music that I like. That's kind of, you know,
For sure, yeah.
so sick.
100%. What do you guys think, like, because it's interesting, I think you guys are in a cool position where, like, you get to play with a ton of, like, really cool emerging acts and, you know, some bigger, some smaller, but all, like, in a very, like, you know, like, band-oriented scene. When you're kind of, like, playing with some of those emerging acts and, like, some of the people that you've, like, you know, seen grow with you, et cetera, what do you think people get, like, right and wrong with shows? Because it seems like you guys are booking a lot of your own shows, right? And kind of organizing a lot of your own stuff?
Not,
or at least you were in the
maybe,
beginning.
somewhat. I think like, I mean, I'm definitely like, you know, like messaging people like to play shows and stuff. So
what do you look for when you're looking for like a show and a date
Just-
somewhere?
honestly, like,
We just want to like the band.
yeah.
Like, if we put on the songs like, yo, this is sick, we want to play it. Like, that's it.
Gotcha.
You know?
Yeah.
So
Like,
it could be
are
a
they
really
cool?
small band too. Like,
Uh-huh.
we don't care as long as we like your music. Like,
That's cool.
Yeah, we want to play with
Yeah,
it.
and I like,
And that's what Movements did for us. Like,
Yeah.
we were, I mean, they just liked our music. So, yeah, like, that's awesome.
just
So organic.
yeah, exactly. Like, looking at a show is who's playing it, you know, like, or do we like, you know, do we really like their music? Like, that's really kind of the only thing I can think of. Because, I mean, warehouses are cool, houses are cool.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah, the lineup.
100%. Yeah, I think like that is something that a lot of it's hard to like quantify it, but like the house show energy and like the DIY kind of like warehouse type
Something so
shows.
special.
There's just it's just like there's it's like very hard to like
It's
quantify
a
it.
party.
Yeah.
It's a party, and you're playing that party.
Yeah.
Such a good vibe.
And it does feel like a community. Like those house shows, the warehouse shows, even smaller venue shows, like
Not about the band.
it's
about
not
everybody.
It's
the
about
whole
everybody, and
process.
it's cool when you're like watching the like headliner and the band that just played before is like next to you, and they're also like
That's
having a good time. You know what I
we
mean?
always
Like,
talk about that. That's the coolest
they're
shit.
really just there, like it's like
yeah.
house. That DIY stuff is an equalizer, in a really good way.
I love that. Like when you see a band play and then like the next band comes on and like all of a sudden the band you should watch play is like in the pit with you.
pit,
That's so cool,
exactly,
dude. Yeah.
like that's so. I love that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know.
That's like the
so
coolest thing
special.
ever.
More
Yeah.
cool shows.
Yeah.
Are you guys gonna be doing any house shows or anything like that? Are you guys gonna be doing like DIY stuff?
We
Or
were
you-
just talking about this. We really want to do more DIY stuff.
Yeah.
Like we've only ever done venue shows.
Yeah.
We that show in January we're doing is like a kind of like a DIY type spot.
Yeah.
But we're trying to do like way more of that because dude, it's just electric. It's just like a totally different energy.
Right.
And it's like I think when I began, I was like afraid of being like perceived as like unprofessional or like I don't know, like not legit for like throwing a show at a house or like a warehouse or something.
Yeah.
But like, then I think I just started doing it more, and I realized like it has nothing to do with where it's at. It has to
Right.
do with like what it is.
Yeah.
What do you guys look for when you're setting up a show and you're like trying to look for an artist?
Thematic consistency and like an experience that like makes way more sense than most shows. I always think about like this is my biggest criteria is I when I'm building a lineup is like would I be absolutely like juiced if I saw that lineup when I was 17 years old in the Bay Area.
Right.
That's good.
Like I always think like
That's awesome.
like I always think like if I saw that lineup at Gilman or bottom of the hill or wherever, would I be like, yeah, I want to go to that.
Right. That's funny. Our
You know?
drummer always talks about Gilman, like wanting to play Gilman.
Legendary, dude.
Yeah, I've never.
It's harder nowadays.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
It's just hard to book there now. It's
Yeah.
kind of like the smell. Like it's kind of like the smell adjacent.
Yeah.
It is like the Bay Area version of like the smell.
Really? Okay, that's awesome.
Like the historic DIY spot. Super super cool. But it's difficult now. They don't have as many shows anymore. It's very hard to like fund these spots now, I think.
Yeah.
Dude, during COVID, like seeing all the venues like
Save our
post those
stages and
like,
stuff, yeah.
dude, oh my god, that was so. Yeah, dude, I can't imagine how difficult it is to run like a financially successful venue. You know, like
100%.
one that's just not gonna like put a lien on your house.
Yeah.
You know, like that must be so intense.
And it's such a difficult like line to tote as well because it's like if you open a venue, I'm willing to bet that like most people who open venues probably love music. You know,
Right.
like, I would imagine it's most of them. It isn't like a business decision. But for the most part, it's probably like a small business decision with like a majority of like a passion decision.
Right.
So like for those people, I think they'd be in a very strange position if they had to like say like, no, I'm only offering you like a 60-40, and it's like
Yeah.
that is just the reality of like playing a show here.
Right.
Or it's like, you know, here's like a $2,000 buyout, like a $5,000 bar guarantee. It's like
Yeah.
their hands are kind of tied.
Yeah.
And it's difficult. I think I realize that in LA a lot. Like I feel like a ton of LA venues, like as sad as it is, like their hands are tied to just not doing very good deals for artists, you know?
Right.
When you guys were in the early days of stuff, how did you like funding wise and stuff, what were your workarounds to like play shows for like a little money and like
What were our workarounds? I mean, we never really got paid for like a long time, and we would never ask, you know, just 'cause
Really,
we
yeah.
just wanted to play, you know. But
was it mostly house shows or like were you playing any venues back then?
just mostly bars, dude. Mostly
Okay,
like
yeah.
bars, house shows, small venues like the Smell, you know, like yeah. But in terms of like funding everything, I mean, you know, we all work, so
Yeah.
and this is like our pride and joy, you know, so just split it up, you
Figure
know?
it out, yeah.
Yeah, you know, and yeah, I'm super lucky that I get to be in a band with other people who are
Uh-huh.
down for that. you
Oh,
know?
100%. Yeah, that's like rare,
Yeah,
especially if
records
that's
are expensive.
yeah, dude, 100%. I saw that really old video you guys have posted about where you're holding like all those records like
Yeah.
piled up.
Yeah.
That's cool. Why did you make the decision like just to actually print your stuff? I think that's so cool. I feel like a ton of like bands that are still coming up like don't do that anymore, but it's so sick.
Dude, I mean, well, first, it's so expensive.
Yeah, it's
like
so
to
hard,
do that,
dude.
to like print. But man, there's something so special about physical media.
100%.
There really is, and it reminds me that Best Buy is about to like completely cancel selling physical media anymore.
What?
Yeah, they're about to stop like selling CDs and vinyl and like all of it.
Wow.
Which is they were like the biggest physical media retailer in the country.
Like DVDs too and stuff.
Blu-ray, all of
Yeah,
it. They're
that's-
not going to
that's
sell
crazy.
like physical media anymore. So it's sad, you know. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. I love like having. I have comic books. I have books. I have video games, and I love having it in my hand. There's something really like special about that.
Yeah.
And, so being able to, first off, the fact that anybody wanted a vinyl, like so sick.
So cool, yeah.
And it's always been a dream of mine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
that was
know?
like our first like real body of work,
Mhm.
you know. So just like, yeah, I need that.
It deserves it. Yeah.
I bought one.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like,
That's what I mean. And even if nobody buys it, it's for you guys. At the end of the day,
Dude,
like
yeah.
you could hold this, like you can show your kids like a record. Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
made this.
This is-
That's
yeah,
so
dude,
cool.
that's-
Yeah.
yeah.
And the fact that like, you know, we have none left. Like
Yeah,
that
that's
was,
awesome.
that was crazy to me. So yeah, I'm a fan of CDs. I'm a fan of physical media. I see a lot of bands nowadays like doing it too with like cassettes
Totally.
and stuff like that. I love to see it.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you guys are doing the comic book thing.
Dude, thank
I
you.
think that's sick.
I'm glad you guys are doing the vinyl. It's just a dying art, and it's not to say that like like I think there's definitely a world where like a lot of that stuff would come back, 100%. But it's just like having like the way that I think about it is like some of the records that I've bought at shows are my favorite records, and even if I've grown out of whatever that album was, or it's not really for me anymore.
Yeah.
The fact that I bought it at a show reminds me of that show and that period of my life, and
Yeah.
that
you're gonna
is
keep
so
it
cool.
forever. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, dude. Yeah.
Exactly. Like that is the coolest thing to me. Like it's not even just like physical media. It's like physical media that like reminds you of a certain period of your life.
Right. Right.
It's like playing on nostalgia, you know?
Yeah. What is the most you would charge for a T-shirt at your merch table?
The most I would charge?
Yeah. What's like a good
Right now or in like a long time?
Right now.
Right now?
Yeah.
$5 more than what it was made for. $10
Fair.
more than what it was made for.
Fist.
Fair.
Yeah. Well, it's just like well, I mean, like to answer your question, like right now, it's just like the way that I think about it is like there is no way, shape, or form that like the thing that I'm doing right now is going to make me a ton of money in this moment. So it's like I might as well just like it's like free advertising, it's free marketing, and it's cool. Band shirts and show shirts are fucking sick.
Do you remember like what was a really early band that you like bought a piece of merch for? Do you have any early memories of like buying?
I have like
Merch.
multiple early carpal tunnel shirts. I have.
Dude, that's
so
so
sick.
sick.
Yeah.
I love that.
my roommate, his first merch I have.
Yeah.
Half Mad was a band that was
Yeah.
coming up. It'd been the early days, and where I'm from, I have like some of their merch still.
Mhm.
I think I do.
Dude, there's such a
my
special
favorite dude.
relationship.
Yeah, no, for sure.
That is
Like
such
my
a cool
favorite is there's this band that I interviewed like 3 years ago called Here in Color. They're still going. They're super sick. Yeah. Shout out to them. They're the homies. But they sold like a limited run of this like black sleeve T-shirt or this black long sleeve shirt.
Yeah.
It's like super thick, and I
Uh-huh.
love it. I love that what it's made of. But
So sick.
the design is just like it's just a juice box.
Yeah.
And it's just like a juice box with like
Yeah.
it says Here in Color on
Yeah.
it, and it's like one of my favorite shirts. Like to this day, I still wear it.
So sick.
What about you guys? What are like some of your OG like favorite band shirts you have?
I mean, I remember buying this like Circa Survive baseball tee at
that's
like
so
one of the
sick.
first shows I went to. Ruined now just from like a millennia of washing and drying. But yeah, man, that one, I don't know, that sticks out to me. What about you?
I got some like little Pete merch.
That's
So yeah,
cool.
dude, that was like, yeah.
That's
just some
yeah.
shirt, yeah.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah. Dude.
I have a hoodie that I bought at a Corday show in
shit.
Yeah, in
Yeah.
Sacramento at this bar called Harlow's, that like is like it's probably like a 150 cap little venue.
Yeah.
But I saw him there before he ever had like a record out or anything.
Dang.
Yeah, and it was so cool. But it was like sold the fuck out and like
Dude, it's
crazy to the brim sold out. And one of my favorite like hip hop shows I've ever been to.
Dude, he's a legend.
Yeah, he's so good.
When you were living up in the Bay Area, did you go to Sacramento for shows?
Yeah, occasionally.
Yeah.
There's a really cool spot called Ace of Spades that I go to. Harlow's is really, really sick.
Okay.
There's a spot that I haven't been to that is like very much coming up right now that I think has been like really popped off in the past like year since I moved, called Cafe Colonial. Mario, have you been there?
No.
Yeah, it's like
Okay.
it's like a new spot that I'm hearing like a ton about in Sacramento that I
Sick.
really, really want to check out when I'm back there.
Okay, nice.
But yeah, I guess like Sacramento maybe was the equivalent of like our like how LA was for you guys. I would,
Right,
I would
okay.
assume. How far like where you grew up is from LA?
Sini is like, I don't know, honestly, I don't know in miles. I don't know, maybe like,
But like distance, like time.
like 45 minutes to an hour.
An hour. Okay.
It takes us an hour and a half when we're like going to a show.
Yeah, because you're going like in the 2 o'clock or whatever.
Yeah,
There's traffic. Yeah.
The van and trailer.
Van and
usually.
trailer,
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a drive. But
Sacramento was like Sacramento's a pretty removed from the Bay Area. Like it's definitely not like a play. There's only like a handful of times I think I like went up to Sac to go to a show in Sac because
right.
it is like an hour and a half away.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
whereas like I mean San Francisco from where I'm from, where I grew up was like 25 minutes outside of it. So
Yeah.
it's perfect.
Nice.
We played somewhere called Roseville.
Yo, that's
Do
crazy.
you know that spot?
Shout out to Dreamhead Music.
To what?
Dreamhead Music.
Okay,
My homie who
yeah.
runs a cool publication, but he's from Roseville.
Okay, you know Roseville?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's like Sac removed. Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
Where
yeah.
do you play in Roseville?
I forget, but it was a
Goldfield?
movement.
Is that a thing?
Where?
Goldfield? The Goldfield?
the
Is
Goldfield?
Roseville?
I'm
Maybe
not
that's
sure,
wrong.
yeah.
I
have
don't
no
know. I'd
clue.
have to verify. But it was like, I don't know. I
Hot.
didn't know where we were.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, where are we?
Very, very middle of nowhere for sure.
But
What do
dude,
you
people
remember what
came.
time of year it was?
It was like November, I think,
Okay.
last year.
Thankfully.
Yeah.
Dude.
Oh, is it crazy there?
Oh, bro.
Is it nuts?
The heat is disgusting. Like it is gross, dude. like Sacramento in the summer, bro, is literally insufferable. And I have a bunch of Sacramento friends who act like it's like nothing, but like it is, to me, it's absolutely insufferable. Like it'll literally hit like 108, like an average day, like 107. Like
Jeez.
it's disgusting. I don't get it. People live there in the summer.
Dude, honestly, I'm convinced like pretty soon bands just won't be able to tour in the summer.
Yeah,
Like I feel like it's
man.
just gonna get so hot soon that like you're just not gonna be able to tour in the summer anymore.
Dude, it's just miserable. I feel like if you're
Yeah.
van touring in the summer, I feel like that'd be so miserable.
Dude, we hit like Arizona and
Oh my
Texas in
God.
like August, I think, like a couple years ago, and
Dude.
it was like, it was
insufferable. Like
it was powerful.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like
you feel it. Like
yeah, it was like oppressive. It was
Yeah.
just so intense, dude. Like,
Asking me for lunch money, dude.
yeah, it was scary, man.
Do you guys have any crazy like tour moments? Like what when? Because I mean, dude, doing the whole van thing, there's like some wild stories
I
that
just
come
like
back. I think.
went in my computer.
Yeah.
Do you have any?
No, not really, actually.
Driving in
Any
ice
sketchy van
was,
moments?
Like, horrifying to me.
Just
Like,
driving in the snow.
yeah, we didn't have
Yeah.
like snow chains, and we're like from here, you know. Like, what do I?
I don't know how to use these. Yeah.
Like,
That was like
snow.
one of the first times I've ever seen like snow fall.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
Dude, yeah,
Yeah,
that was
crazy.
like just last year was the first time I'd ever seen snowfall.
yeah, and it was like
It's beautiful.
kind of
Beautiful.
intense.
Yeah.
But there was like, this is beautiful. We gotta drive downhill down a mountain.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And then like we passed by a van that looked just like ours flipped over. Like
Oh,
what
hell no.
the
Hell no, dude.
dude? I was
That's on some like
I'm
Donner Party
out.
shit.
Fucking
That's
out,
so
dude.
scary. That's terrifying, dude. What the hell?
Yeah, it's
It's wild.
trailer and all, dude. Fucking
Yeah.
it was crazy.
Do you guys remember like when you maybe? But I'm curious here if this was like post tour or pre tour.
Yeah.
But do you remember like when you got to a point where there was like an uptick in the amount of people that were coming to your shows? Like when the traction kind of
I
started?
mean, it was definitely after the shows. Like,
Okay.
we played.
Yeah.
You know, after we toured with Movements, and then after we put out like, actually, like I would say probably like. Yeah, around then, and then not Life is Good, Try Again. When we put out Try Again, I feel like I definitely saw that uptick happen.
Yeah.
So
Same.
it's been like maybe a couple of years.
Nice.
Yeah.
And is it like a lot of returning faces that come to the shows?
Definitely.
Like, that's
yeah.
so cool,
Yeah,
dude.
I mean, it's awesome. You know, like it's crazy to me.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's the coolest thing, I think. Like when
Mhm.
you kind of establish that point where it's like you're kind of like you are kind of curating a scene around what you're creating, and it's like the same people are coming back, and then
Yeah.
you make friends and
Yeah.
you meet people, and it's like
Yeah.
you see the same faces. That to me is the most
Yeah,
beautiful
dude,
thing
it's so
ever.
awesome.
It's crazy. Like I feel like recently I've really started to see like, oh, there's a community. You know, like there's this community of like
Yeah.
that we're a part of, and dude, it took a while, but it's the coolest thing.
It definitely gives me hope that like music scenes can like
Mhm.
make a comeback and like be a thing again, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I see it now. I mean, I feel
Yeah,
like there's
people
some
are
pretty
popping up.
strong scenes
sure,
going
yeah.
on right now.
For sure. And I do think this is like maybe the past year has been like the first like real uptick like post COVID, I think,
Definitely.
which is so sick.
For sure. I mean, for us, it's always kind of been weird. I feel like we've always struggled to like find a scene of bands that we could just like, you know, like a scene that we could just come into.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we've ever had that. So I kind of just feel like our goal and what we've been doing and what we're trying to do is just to kind of like maybe create our own scene or try. you know?
Yeah.
It's hard to.
It's hard.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really good goal, though. I think that always should be the goal to like curate a
Definitely.
culture around your music to the point where it's like people are coming for you, you know. And even beyond that, it's like you can meet cool bands and people
Mhm.
through that experience, you
Mhm.
know. And it's like a shared kind of environment where everybody feels safe and everybody can kind of like enjoy the same thing. I think it's cool too when like you're at the forefront of that,
Right.
because then you can be like a leader and a role model and like kind of dictate the behavior and the culture amongst it, you know. Which
True.
is like
Well
really,
said.
really sick.
Yeah. Oh my God, that was beautiful.
Thank you.
Discord rules.
The Discord rule is crazy. That's hilarious. Last thing I want to ask you guys, if
Yeah.
there's like an overarching message that you could like spread through your music, like something you think people could like have a big takeaway from, like what would you want that message to be?
Always bet on yourself. 100%.
I say that all the time. I love that.
Yeah. Straight up.
Togetherness for me, like just like I don't know, we're all gonna die, we're all here pretty short. Let's
Yeah.
just like have fun, you know, like let's enjoy being humans together, like watching and singing and dancing the music, you know.
That's beautiful.
I don't know.
I love that, man. Bet on yourself. That's so
dude.
cool. I say that all the time. That's
Yeah.
like something that I think is a lost art. Like really, really like developing that self belief to where it's like I know that I can do this.
Right.
You know,
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
that's such like a beautiful thing. That process.
Yeah.
100%. Cheridomingo.
Dude.
Thanks for having us above the bridge.
Thank you guys so much. That was a lot of fun. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to sit down with me.
Oh my God,
For
it's such an honor, dude.
Yeah,
I
100%.
love you
having
guys.
us.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you very, very, very much. Tell them where they can see you live, or they can follow, they can stream, they can do all the things.
Yeah, you can find us on Instagram at Cheridomingo, Spotify Cheridomingo. We're playing the Haven in Pomona on
Nice.
Sunday, October 29th.
Playing the Moroccan Lounge November 3rd.
Cool.
Headline.
Yeah, and we're playing
Oh, hell yeah. That sounds sick. I'll be there.
Oh, sick. Yeah, dude.
Fuck yeah.
That'd be
I'd
awesome.
love to come. Oh, yeah.
and we're playing November 11th at the Constellation Room with
Nice.
Sydney Sprague. So
You know, I've never been to the Constellation Room. I've been
Neither
trying to
have
make a
we.
mistake to go, or a excuse to go.
yeah,
I
I don't
haven't,
think
I
I've
haven't.
ever been. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm so psyched.
I
Yeah.
feel like that is like OC royalty. That
Yeah,
I've just
dude.
I've never been to, and I really want to make an excuse to go.
Oh, dude,
Let's do it.
absolutely 100%. Let's go.
Fuck it. Let's go. I'm
Have you been
down.
to program?
What'd you say?
Program? Have you gone to program?
No.
No? Oh, dude, you got to check
That's a
out
skate
some
shop,
shows.
yeah,
It's a
that's
skate
sick.
shop there that is just like throwing so
In the OC?
sickest shows. Yeah.
That's sick,
Yeah.
dude. I gotta check it out.
Yeah.
Hell
Anyway,
yeah.
shut up.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. Appreciate
you.
you. That was fun. Music matters.